Welcome to Vader TV, the network for innovators. I'm Bambi Francisco. Well, if you want to create a cool and personalized chat room to chat with your friends in Facebook, well, try Vivaty. It's a startup that's enabling people to put some spice into those chats. Joining me to talk about Vivaty is Keith McCurdy. He is the CEO and co-founder. Keith, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Basically, your company enables 3D chat rooms, and particularly in Facebook. And since launching a week ago, I guess, how many people have become members of Vivaty?
Well, we're not announcing numbers yet, but it's only been a few days, but we've already got many thousands.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you have to be.
Yep. Yeah.
Even though you're the 21,000th application on
Facebook.
Yeah,
we're a platform that enables these 3D virtual experiences that are very casual and mass market and easy to access. And we've taken that experience and wrapped it into a Facebook app. We've also placed it on AIM. We can basically place that experience on any website. We just use Facebook as a place to start, but we fully plan to have it roll out across the web in a wide variety of places.
MySpace and...
Yeah, we haven't announced where else we're going, but we're eventually going everywhere.
Would you have expectation or projections of how it will be adopted, because you're targeting these, how much the adoption will be by the end of the year?
We don't really have expectations on that in that vein. We do have ideas about how people will adopt it and where it will integrate into what's on the web today. A couple of those ideas are around social networking, as you pointed out, around real-time communication like chat, which is another element of it, and the third element is self-expression. When you look at the Vivaty Scenes application, which is our first application on the platform, it's really about self-expression and being able to create your own scene. You can decorate it, put your media in there, so it's kind of like a 3D MySpace page. In MySpace, people create 2D pages and decorate them and self-express the things they're interested in, and we've given users like a 3D version of that. And so you can put all the media, and it's also around media sharing. You can put your Flickr pictures, your YouTube videos, your photo bucket pictures, and so we're exercising a few different kind of behaviors that you see in the consumer web. One around communication, because it's real time and you can chat with your friends. One around socializing, because you can interact with your social graph and all your friends on social networks like you pointed out. And third is self-expression, like your personal profile. We're bringing all those into a richer experience that's more visually engaging.
How far are you going to take that self-expression? And I guess people can, right now, they can create avatars.
Yeah, they can create avatars. They can choose from avatars. They'll be able to dress up their avatar. But right now, at launch last week, the main self-expression element is around being able to decorate your scene. So you can bring in any media, you can put furniture anywhere you want, you can change the look and the appearance of it, and you can really personalize it.
Can you design your own furniture?
You can't design your own furniture right now. We're trying to make it very, very mass market, very, very easy. It's point and click. I want a chair, I point, and it's there. We don't want people to be making little polygons and stuff like that. And that's a fraction of 1% of the market.
So you're going to have a catalog of items.
There is a catalog of hundreds of items that you can just place. Then you can change them. There's thousands of textures, so everybody can change them. And you can resize them, you can rotate them, you can put plants sticking out of walls. You can do things just like in a MySpace page that maybe you or I might think is not the way we would want our page to look.
Sure.
But an 18-year-old kid in Kansas, if that's the way they want it to look, then that's the way it will look for them.
It's like their dorm room.
Yeah, it is in fact very much like a dorm room, or even any 16-year-old's bedroom.
But at some point you're probably going to enable them to create their own stuff. Right?
We are going to be launching a developer or creator community later this year, where people will be able to create 3D objects and create 3D scenes, upload them into the system, and then the larger group of consumers will be able to use them.
And buy them?
Eventually they'll be able to buy them.
That's one of your models?
Yes.
Is your product primarily for meeting new people or connecting with friends?
At launch, we're really focused on connecting with existing friends. So in Facebook, when you launch the product in Facebook, it automatically inherits your social graph from Facebook. When you launch the product from AIM, it automatically inherits your buddy list from AIM. So we found that in virtual worlds that exist today or previous to us, that are these large monolithic applications, you do get dropped into a world and you don't know very many people. And so what we're trying to do is leverage what people have invested in the web,
yeah.
which is the things in social networks. They've defined who their friends are. So when you get dropped in, your friends are in your buddy list. You can automatically, with one click, invite them. You can control who can come into your scene, so you don't have people that you're not interested in seeing your stuff or harassing you. And that's the same way social networks like Facebook have had success.
Are you going to leverage those the way they kind of monitor authenticity, authenticating people? I mean, because I could just imagine where, people drop in this avatar saying that they're somebody else and they're not.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about what we're doing versus some of the earlier larger application virtual worlds is you are who you are in the social network in your virtual scene.
Sure.
So it's pretty hard to kind of...
You're leveraging theirs because you are on Facebook.
Because people want to interact with their real friends.
Sure.
They don't necessarily want to interact. There are some people that want to interact in a fantasy environment and something where they can pretend to be somebody else. But also people also do like to interact, especially when it's around real content like media and their own self-expression. They like to interact. We found that people want to interact with people they know.
Okay.
And at first, now after they're comfortable with that and they know there are moments in time, like in real life, we interact mostly with people we know, but sometimes we go to bars or we go to clubs or we go to social experiences parties where we don't know everybody. People want that, but you can't have just people you don't know and not be able to reach the people you do know. So we're starting from the people you do know and branching out to people you don't know. And it's a little bit opposite from what we've seen so far.
But that's good, though, because you authenticate them at least. I mean, you know that they're authentic. But
it's a safe starting point where people feel comfortable. Yeah.
Do you have your own social network?
No.
Or IM network? Not yet.
No. We plug into existing things that are on the web, and that's a key point. We don't want to go to a user and say, okay, to get this new rich experience, you have to let go of all that stuff. You have to let go of the stuff you've uploaded. You have to build a new social graph. We want to make it as easy as possible. You're the place to create kind of fun little dorm rooms around your
and
we want to and it's a mantra around the office. We want to leverage what the consumer has already put into the web. So if they've uploaded their pictures or they've decided who their friends are or whatever it is, let's use that and not make it hard and not make it different.
And it's truly viral too, because you can't, you're not going to be creating an environment for yourself to sit in there by yourself. It's really to bring in other people.
Exactly. That's a good point. Self-expression is inherently viral because nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, very few people will go to the trouble to customize something, whether it's a 2D web page or a 3D environment, and not tell somebody about it.
It's all about shared experiences.
And a little bit of, notoriety.
Yeah. What do you think of Google's Lively? They sound pretty similar.
They're similar. I think it's great validation that Google has found that, virtual environments in a very social and easy-to-use web-based way is the way to go. That's been what we've been working on for a while now, and we believe strongly in. So it's validation. I think it differentiates both of us from what people are doing in the big applications that are kind of scary to the mass market. Yeah, I don't like to say, whoever it is. I just think it's a trend. I think Google, as well as ourselves, represent a trend of bringing these rich experiences in an easier to use format for more people. And so it's interesting. I think that looking at the products, you can see some differences, but it's early in the game. There's going to be lots of winners. If this transformation is as big as people like ourselves and others think it is going to be, there will be people who will win on making content. There will be people who will win on making platforms, making technology, building communities. It's not going to be a single thing. It's going to be like the web. There will be lots of people participating and lots of people winning.
What about IMVU? They have 20 million members, creating virtual rooms with avatars. So how are you different from them? Besides the fact that I guess you're sort of you go on social networks and they're kind of a
That's one key point. So I mean, IMVU is a great product. It's founded by a friend of mine, and they've had some early success, and it's a quality product, and it still is an application. It's not integrated in with the web. It's not integrated with your web stuff. It doesn't leverage anything that it exists on the web, which is fine. I mean, it's just a different flavor. It's one approach. We have a different approach, and we're trying to bring some of the things that they've done, some of the visuals that they've done, and bring it into a more web context and in a place where I think more people will be comfortable doing
social networks.
Well, and social, the web first, social networks, media sharing, instant messaging. These are all very, very big markets,
What do you think about Gaia Online or Second Life to the extent that they are competitors? Which one do you feel more threatened by, if you even feel that?
Well, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're threatened by everything. You're trying to make your way in the world, and those are both great products and successful products. And if I had to choose one over the other to focus more on or think about, I think I would think more about Gaia. I mean, I think Gaia has done some interesting things around making it easy and making it user friendly. Mm-hmm. I think if we could have, and this is in fact, it's a great question because we're trying to be the blend of the two. We're trying to make it as easy as Gaia, mm-hmm. in the web, very quick to get into, very simple. I mean, when you start our product, you're automatically dropped into your scene that already makes you look good with an avatar. You don't have to do any setup. You don't have to go through any orientation. You don't have to download a big application. Yeah. So like Gaia, very, very easy, very user-friendly. But, we think that the world's going to go beyond small pixelated little avatars that only have a few frames to their animation. Mm-hmm. And we feel like the richness of something like Second Life, and we feel like we've even gone beyond that, the ease of use with the richness is really where we want to be. So it's really the intersection of the two and the good parts of both.
Now, according to the New York Times, Brad Stoney says the web has largely failed. He's talking about these online games to go 3D. Online games like Habbo and Club Penguin are 2.5D, and they haven't gotten to the 3D world. I think that he says Vivaty, he said, on the other hand, is like a 3D video game, so compliments to you. But so how easy or challenging will it be for a Club Penguin or those other companies to switch to a platform like yours? I mean, this is also useful, right? You want to stay ahead of these people who've been around for a while. Right.
Well, I mean, we want to stay ahead of them, but we also potentially might want to work with them. Mm. So, we built our platform from the ground up to do full, rich, high-quality 3D in a web browser in a very lightweight footprint. Mm-hmm. So we own our technology from end to end, from the server to the client to everything that you see. Mm-hmm. And so, we're not reliant on anybody else, and we want to work with a lot of partners to be able to enable their product or community or whatever, what have you, brand in an immersive experience like that. So I think for a community company to go and try to invent the technology that we've invented mm-hmm. is a stretch. It would be hard, and that's why our investors invested in us, because when we came in, we showed them that what we'd already achieved, and it's unique. What's
your sweet spot in terms of demographic?
For our application for Vivaty
mm-hmm.
Scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the first thing is we have a platform and then we have Vivaty Scenes on top of it. But for the demographic for Vivaty, we think that the sweet spot for the platform is the entire internet and the entire web. But the sweet spot for Vivaty Scenes, we think is very, is pretty much the intersection of the high end of MySpace and the low end of Facebook. So kind of the college 18 to 24-year-old, people that are comfortable with 3D, played The Sims, do social networking, into media sharing, like to look at videos together, uses instant messaging on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. That's the sweet spot, as you say. Of course, it bleeds high and low, and it goes broader. But the sweet spot is in our opinion, for Vivaty Scenes, is that area.
College.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, college and just post-college.
How are you verifying the age? I mean, I know you're sort of on top of the social networks, so they've done that verification. But for new people who come in to your site, I mean, have you thought about that yet?
Well, right now we haven't implemented anything there yet. But right now you have to have a Facebook account or an AIM account to use the service, and right now we're piggybacking off of the login from those networks. Okay, and then the age, what if you're 10 and you've got an AIM account? Well, the beauty of our product is we're not. If you can be a 10-year-old on Facebook, then you can be a 10-year-old in our application, and you can also be a 10-year-old in anybody's Facebook application. So there's nothing unique about us in that subject. Sure. But the beauty of our product is that when you create a Vivaty scene, when you join the service and you start, you get a scene that only your friends can access. By default, it's private, like a profile page in Facebook. Mm-hmm. So if you have, if you're a 16-year-old girl and you're in high school and you have 25 friends, only those 25 friends can see you, not some other person you don't know coming into your scene. So that's unique in that we're using your social graph to give you that safety net. If you want to then set your scene to public and allow anybody to look at it, that's your your prerogative as a user, and you're allowed to do that.
And other public people, public profiles, are you allowed to connect with them?
You are if they've set them to public.
To public,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about business model. Will it be ad-supported, subscription-based? Will it be commerce-based, selling?
I think the two that we're most interested in at this point, and it's early. We just launched last week. Are around new forms of advertising, and I can talk at length about those because they're pretty exciting, and virtual goods. So, obviously there's an opportunity to do virtual goods. The richer the experience, the more I think virtual goods is a stronger model. If you create a BMW car and it's 16 by 32 pixels in a flash environment, it's only going to be so valuable to the end user. But we can create a full 3D BMW with doors that you can put in your virtual driveway that your friends can check out, and it can be the new car that's launching next year, and BMW could make money. I'm using it.
I don't drive a BMW, but I've got one on my Facebook.
Yeah, I'm using an example, but I mean the richer the environment, the richer the user can experience the content, the more virtual goods is an interesting model. To go over to advertising, there's several layers of potential in advertising in these rich environments. One is the easiest, most obvious, and is just billboards on walls. You can put billboards in anywhere, but that's pretty straightforward. Videos, there's a lot of videos in our environments, and you can do pre-rolls and videos advertising within those environments. You can also do things that are really interesting around objects. So you can have interactive objects that your avatar could work with and do stuff with that could be branded. And we've experimented with some of those. And then the fourth one, which in some ways is the most interesting, and we've kind of stumbled upon talking to people in Hollywood around television and movies, is branded environments. Is like a scene from an upcoming movie or a scene from a television series that you see often. And then you have a user who might choose that as their personal Vivaty scene, invite 100 friends from Facebook, and suddenly you have a viral ripple effect of lots of people seeing that branded experience.
Right.
And they're doing it because somebody's chosen it, a friend of theirs, and it's validated, and that model has a lot of potential.
So you're going to try to do both in the commerce model as well as the branded advertising environment.
Yeah.
How much money is made in virtual worlds today?
If you include all of, it's definitely multiple billions. If you include all of them, both 2D and 3D, and so and it's growing rapidly, and it's primarily around virtual goods. But that's because I think most of it is still in this 2D level, because that's the easiest, lowest barrier to entry until we've come along. And it's just the advertising opportunities in a 2D flash pixelated environment are just not that compelling.
Why don't you want to do subscription? I mean, Club Penguin sold for $700 million or so, and they were all subscriptions. Yeah,
well, it's a good question. I mean, our real goal in life is to create a platform that lots of people use, and there's a wide variety of experiences. To launch, we've created that platform and then one application on it called Vivaty Scenes. And we think our partners, the people who would use the platform, are going to want, they could charge a membership, but we think that the real scalable opportunity long term is advertising and virtual goods.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. You raised $11 million in total?
9.2.
$9.2 million. My notes are wrong. But yes, you told me that. 9.2 from
Although
Kleiner.
I would take 11 if you had a little extra.
What's your valuation, and how far does this take you out?
We just raised the money 11 months ago, so we have plenty of runway, more than a year and a half from here, and I think with all the excitement and buzz around this space right now, I think hopefully our prospects are good to continue to grow the business with investors.
And your valuation?
We're not going to share that.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's your future? Club Penguin was bought by Disney. I mean, is that what happens with your company? Does it fit inside a media?
Well, the Club Penguin was bought by Disney because they bought the audience. And so, because our strategy is to build a platform with lots of different audiences on top of our platform, our software platform, I think the exit is a little bit different, although Disney is also interested in platforms. because they have lots of audiences. They, television, ABC, ESPN, Disney movies, Disney television shows. So they could be potential. I mean, we're so young. We're just getting started. This industry is just getting started. We're not really focused on the exit right now, to be honest with you.
Right. We got to have some idea.
Yeah.
I've told.
My goal is to build a company that lasts forever, and then I think the exit will take care of itself.
That's one of the things you should be doing. So anyway, so you touched on marketing and advertising, and in our next interview, we're going to talk about not marketing, but commerce. So I'm going to talk about, for our next interview, online behavior and what you're observing. So, but this was a great first interview, Keith. Thanks so much for sharing. I've been speaking with Keith McCurdy. He's the CEO and co-founder of Vivaty, which recently just launched. I'm Bambi Francisco.